Hello. What's up, everyone? You're listening to Skeleton Key Podcast. I'm your host, Kagan. With me, as always, is
Keegan.
And my brother, Tate. What's up, Tate?
What's up?
Yep. How you guys doing today?
Good.
Pretty good.
Wait. Okay, yeah. What'd you guys do today? I came home and he was asleep on the couch and you guys were gone.
We've been training him. I've been putting forth my best effort to train him.
Yeah.
In what, for his future fighting career?
His first UFC fight.
I made my UFC debut.
How much do you weigh?
Well, first we got to start out with amateur fighting, then one day we'll achieve
What's
UFC.
what's the lowest thing he could start out with actually right now in fight? Like what could he go to fight in right now?
It'd have to be something local.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So local, then
He can still get his ass kicked. He has to learn something. That's what we're doing right now.
That's fair.
Training.
So hey, you know what? We started downstairs on the carpet with the window open, trying to keep you cool when you were like putting us in guillotines and shit. And now we're gonna have you in a Golden Gloves boxing match, like our current
Not
guy.
boxing. Nope. We're going for
We're just
MMA.
going for everything.
We're going MMA. He's gonna be a BJJ black belt.
Really jiu-jitsu black belt. Okay, for those who don't know, interesting, very interesting. Well, let's see how that goes. He's gonna get
Sports podcast coming too.
sports kick. Really?
Yeah.
Hell yeah. See, I love making moves, little big moves. Okay, so everyone, let's hope Keith doesn't get his ass kicked too hard, and let's hope he is around for the next episode, not in the podcast. Okay, so guys, last week, yeah, I'll try.
Yeah, we'll watch. You want to see this?
Yeah, if you're gonna say it,
We need to show off the pillow.
got it. Yeah. We
Go
got our
and show
first
'em.
piece of decor. Yeah, go and show him. Go and show him.
Cool, I love it. Shout out to our mom.
Yeah, thanks, Mom. I wonder if she was like just a little ashamed. There was like a hint to her voice where she was kind of ashamed when she like put that in her cart. She said she was like, "I came up getting this for him." But no, it's a pretty cool pillow. It's got the mug shots of over 15 killers on it. No, we're not going to do that. No, we're not going to. That'll be a future. That'll be a future Patreon.
I just know John Wayne Gacy, Jeffrey Dahmer, where the hell is he?
Do you know everybody on that pillow?
The majority of
Ted
them.
Bundy. Oh, there's Dahmer.
No. There's easily over 15 killers on there, and there's like multiple mugshots. I see 2 of BTK right now, but there's another one coming. It's just like in like late order. No, I know the majority of them though, and that'll be a future Patreon, like where we pay, like people can pay to have me like read the people off.
People
the
are
pillow.
gonna pay to watch this show.
Yeah. Why would you waste your money on this shit? I
We
have.
should recreate the murders too on the Patreon.
We can have you like be the body, like the person for each one of them. Like for like Brutos, like we'll dress you up like in a wig.
I
and a dress.
allowed to be on the.
She said, I hope you're ready to put a cigarette on your dick.
Hey, Herb Mullin did
You're
it.
not gonna hurt them all.
Herb Mullin did it. No. Yeah, so we're
I'm
back.
a fucking pedophile and now I'm a murderer.
That was an accident. My bad. That was an accident. But no, guys. So yeah, this weekend we were on to Herb Mullin Part 2. So when we last left our buddy Herb, he had just killed his first victim of 13 to try and appease our God, so that the state of California would be safe from a catastrophic earthquake. In the second part, we will discuss Mullin's ever-growing descent into madness, his eventual capture, and his remaining 12 murders, starting with his next victim, Marie Guilfoy.
Is there any dick burning in this one too?
Not that I could find.
What if the guy was already in an earthquake actually hit? People are like, oh shit, maybe he was right.
That's what I'm saying. Like, if that would happen, like they might have had to have like released him from prison.
It's like a random earthquake hits just out of the blue.
They might have like had to have released him from prison. He's going like, "You didn't let me do my job. Why would you let me do my job?"
You let me kill more people. This earthquake would never struck.
Seriously, can you imagine?
What the hell was he gonna stop?
That would be so fucking bad. Wait, what?
When was he gonna stop killing?
Wait, what if an earthquake hit and they let him out and he didn't kill anybody else? Because the earthquake already hit. So he thought he did his job.
I mean, actually, technically, what if they're like he just left you like, "Hey, I'm done.
I did my job.
I'm done. Yeah, everything's good now. We're good." Like, or even? No. That would have been so ironic, but I'm glad it didn't happen. And he's still in jail to prison to this day. Which
I was going to ask you last episode, is he not? He didn't try to kill people in prison, like he's not psycho?
No, we'll get to the very end. He's a very docile, like really nice guy that people like around the prison, actually. His medicine, yeah, because medicine's gotten
involved, yeah.
He has to take it, it's gotten so much better and all that kind of stuff.
So is it like a set number of people he had to kill to like?
No.
He had to kill as much
No,
as he could?
he just got stopped at 13.
No.
Yeah, he just got stopped. He would have kept killing, and then I guess like the earthquake would have just not happening. So he would have had to kill his entire life.
He just kept killing because the earthquake
Oh
never
my
hit.
god! See, this is a pretty bad cycle.
The whole state of California would been wiped.
This is a really bad cycle, like that Herb's found himself in. Yeah, the whole
so many like what ifs.
There's or
No,
there are a
that's
ton of
bad
things.
news, though.
Uh,
Whole state of California getting wiped off.
no, it definitely. Well, okay. Oh, see, we can't have
How long
it.
it takes to do some first.
Well,
No one likes California.
no one does either. But okay, yeah, but like Pam lives there, and I like to go visit California at least once. Here, the weather's incredible, the food's good. And,
I'm not saying they can do some out, we're all good. Not
Okay.
getting politicized, they do just a dickhead.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, I don't really exactly know who that. I'm assuming he's like the governor. Yeah, the governor, of course. Yeah,
He's the governor.
of course. Yeah, well, hey, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor at one time.
He was.
He was, and he was a damn good governor too. He's a damn good governor, just like he's a damn good bodybuilder and like actor.
Did he compete in Olympia?
Yeah, he won Mr. Olympia like 8 or 10
Yeah,
times
so
in
he
a
won
row.
it. Yeah, so he won in a row a bunch.
Yeah, he won it like 8 times in a row. But okay, yeah, no, we're getting off bodybuilders and we're getting back to schizos.
Herbert Mullin was a bodybuilder.
Yeah, no. So
Schizophrenic body.
he was a boxer. You didn't know that.
Yeah, that's.
Okay, so a quick recap. He's on a religious mission. He's got a hollow head, and his dick is fireproof. So we're.
He's a good fighter.
He is a good fighter, yeah, but there's no more dick burning, at least none that I could find.
I just realized he wouldn't have to use like ultra condoms or anything. He's already got an ultra dick.
Yeah, he has a full like protection around his dick. It's called being like calloused.
Ugh.
I didn't explain to you last episode, so you know, like I'm really big into fighting.
Yeah.
You don't even understand how, like, Golden Glove is like huge. Like it's like a big deal, like huge deal.
I mean, it
When
sounds
you
like
told me that he won Golden Glove, I about that's like a massive. It's not like some small like local promotion.
you made it sound like it was a big deal, but
It's like no, it's like a pretty big promotion.
and I will say, I may have said last time that he was doing drugs during it. I don't know if he was. I kind of assumed he was because things were loose back because this was
I
75
don't see.
or something
The
like
Golden
that.
Gloves has always been so big. I don't know how he passed a drug test. They've always,
78.
even back then, like Golden Gloves has been, it's been big.
And he
So I
might
don't know
have
how.
quit taking drugs just to do that because he was focused, but then he got like back into like the fucking woo.
Yeah, that's
Then
weird.
like he just started doing drugs again and stopped boxing.
That's like the last thing that I ever thought you would have told me was he was a
Yep.
Golden Gloves fighter.
Golden Gloves fighter. Yep. I didn't know the parameters for it, but you made it sound like you were very
Yes.
shocked.
That's incredible.
Yeah, he's a Golden
That's
Gloves fighter.
incredible.
Yeah, he's a really good fighter. They said he would take down people like 3 times his size, and, like take him to the ground. Okay, so back to the story. So just 11 days after the murder of Lawrence White on October 24th, 1972, Herb was driving on the highway where he spied 24-year-old college student Marie Guilfoy hitchhiking on the side of the road. Herb told investigators that he had just planned on going about his business until the voice of his father suddenly spoke inside of his head. Herb said the voice of his father told him that she would make a perfect blood atonement for God, and that it was perfectly fine for Herb to kill her. Now, Mullin slightly resisted at first, but caved when he claimed that the voice of Marie herself spoke in his head and offered herself up as a sacrifice. And after that, Herb agreed with him. So it's
woman herself.
scary as fuck to think that he can just have the voice of someone. So someone tells him to kill someone, he's like, well, no, I don't want to do that because it's not right. But then the voice of another person, of the person you think they're talking about, with the voice in his head, tells him like, no, it's fine, you can kill me. He's got two people, like two voices coming in from different directions.
We talked about it in the Brutus episode. It's just like, what are the odds? Like you're just on the street and the odds of you finding this one guy and he picks you.
I read
So-
there was a website that I read like some stuff about Herbert Mullin on, and there was like, it was very, very detailed. And one of them was like right place, right time, or like wrong place, right time, or whatever like that. But like, because he was an opportunistic killer, so if he like saw, if he scanned a scenario and saw like, hey, this might be a good place or a good time to do it, and then like the voices especially help him. Like he looks around and he's going like, this is the one person. There's no cars behind us, no cars in front of us. She's sitting right here. So he's going like, okay, I'll do it. And the voices ease and make him do
The
it.
timing is just so.
The timing is just so perfect. Like there was no cars coming. She was by herself. She was 24. He's 26.
Mm-hmm.
Like you saw the picture. He's a decent looking guy. He could flip it like that. I'm sure she got in the car and she was like, oh, he's a charming young man, because that's how he was described, as a charming young man. He was in shape. He was in really good shape. He totally was. So, pulling up the side of the road, Herb unrolled his window and asked if the young girl wanted a ride. Marie looked at the completely normal man on the outside with thankful eyes, telling him that she was late for a job interview and appreciated his kindness. And with that, she got in his car. This just sucks because like I was talking to you today, like she didn't think anything was wrong getting in the car with him. Unlike Jerry Brudos, who couldn't get any girl to come to near his car.
He had to force the girl.
He had to force him, like while wearing a dress. But Herb, he was like, hey, yeah, I'll give you a ride, come on. And she was like, oh, this is a nice young guy. It sucks, because he can just flip it. So a few minutes of conversation took place, but once they had gotten off the main highway, Herb pulled out his large hunting knife and stabbed Marie directly in the heart, most likely killing her instantly. But either to make sure that she was dead or due to like what he did to her body next, Mullin then stabbed Marie repeatedly in various parts of her body. And after driving into a trail in the woods, Herb unloaded the body and began an act of ritualistic mutilation. Using his knife, Mullin ripped open Marie's torso and began to remove her intestines and guts with his bare hands. He did this in order to, in his words, and this is a quote, check for pollution, as he believed the woman's guts would be full of plastic.
The overkill.
So he said he has a big thing with pollution because it comes into play later with like some of his other victims. He says like people are polluting the area, so he legit thought one of the voices told him like her body was polluted. So he literally like after he gutted her, he threw her like organs up into the trees to like check for plastic because he assumed there would be plastic inside of her like organs.
It's disgusting.
And that's how she was found. Like I think it was 2 months later, like ripped open, skeleton, and her organs like dried up with like buzzards like gnawing at him and shit.
Did they find all these bodies, or did he tell some of the stories of what happened?
No, people just find them.
They found all of them.
All of them get found by accident. Even this woman's body did. Almost 2 months later, it was found by accident, and they thought it was Kemper's because they didn't know about Herb yet.
Yeah.
Because they just caught Kemper, and they're like, oh, you did this, didn't you? He was like, no, I didn't do that one. And like I said last time, so you can just imagine just like, wait, oh fuck no, another one.
Please tell us you're lying.
Yeah, they're like, you're lying. Right? He's like, no, I didn't do it. No, that's not my work. So after he had played environmentalist, Mullin then threw the young woman's intestines up in the nearby trees, like I said, and he got in his car and he drove off, leaving her skeletal remains to be found 4 months later on February 12th. My bad. So all of this crime would be pinned on Ed Kemper at first. It would be the first body that would tell police that they were dealing with someone else that was just as fucked up as Kemper. I do want to say, this went through my head when I was like reading, when I learned that. If his mission, and you'll see, he does do some things that I have written down, like in like the notes. He does do some things. If his mission is just to like appease God, then why is he doing all that? If he just needs to stack up bodies, then why doesn't he just fucking kill him? Why is he ripping open like trying to do all that weird shit? So that's just, there's several times where like his mission doesn't necessarily make sense. I guess is what I'm trying to say.
He's got their voices in his head telling him to do it.
He said, but that means he has two voices. Then obviously he has one that's God, and he has another one that's telling him to do these things.
Mm-hmm. I mean, that one voice was the girl that he heard telling that she would sacrifice herself.
Yeah, so keep that in mind. He apparently has. I've come to the conclusion he has two voices. He has one that he believes is God. He has another one that's telling him to do this fucked up shit.
I think Kemper was pissed that they were like trying to pin this on him. But he actually didn't do it.
I think like he probably was, but since like the DNA, like Sector's probably working overkill on Kemper. I imagine they probably sent his like the DNA like stuff from that body to the lab, and they probably found out pretty quickly that it wasn't him. I would imagine.
He was already in there for life, wasn't he?
No, he was still in jail. He was still waiting his trial. Like I'll get to at the end, like I said last episode. But Herb and him are cellmates.
Yeah, that's why.
And they're joining cells. Yeah, and they fucking hated each other. I'll get to
I
it.
figured he'd be pissed because he was still waiting trial, so they were gonna basically stack these onto his trial.
They were trying to. The wheels of justice turn slow, and that takes too long. But like Herb admits doing all the murders at the end when he gets caught.
And he's got a nice cellmate.
He's got a real nice cellmate. He's got a hell of a good lawyer too. I'll get to that at the end. So. Now, perhaps feeling guilty, perhaps feeling somewhat guilty about what he'd just done, because he just killed two fucking people, or just because he felt like it, Herb decided to go to confession at St. Mary's Catholic Church in Los Gatos on November 2nd. Mullin was hoping there would be someone there to listen to things on his mind. Can you imagine?
Are you gonna tell like what he did?
And unfortunately, there was. Father Henry Tomei was sitting in confession that evening when Herbert Mullin walked through the church doors and made his way back to the confessional booth.
This is the next victim.
The 65-year-old French resistance fighter sat in stunned silence as Mullin told him about his two murders and described them in great detail. Now, Herb might have heard the voices telling him to kill Tomei in order to get more numbers, but he also might have realized that he just told someone he was a double murderer and was afraid of getting arrested.
It's gotta be that.
Herb then exited the booth and rushed into Tomei's as fast as he could and began to brutally stab the old man over and over until his eyes closed. And the confessional booth was soaked with blood. Herb then began to stomp on Tomei's body repeatedly until his skull caved in and then fled the scene. A witness did see Herb running from the church and was able to give a description to the police. However, an average-sized hippie with a mullet wasn't necessarily exclusive to just one person in the 70s. So police didn't have any leads on the culprit. The police said that this was a robbery gone wrong, but that's what they said to try not put it with a murder as a murder, like for a serial killer. They just said it's a robbery gone wrong. And I'm like, who robs a fucking priest? Who robs a priest?
But what's a confessional booth look like?
I've never been.
You know?
No, it's just it's kind of like a booth. Yeah, it's like a booth. It's separated off, and you're in one booth sitting on a chair, and there's a priest on the other side. And you talk through like a grated window usually. You just confess your sins, and they're not legally sorry. They're not morally allowed to tell anything. You tell them. I'm not kidding. Even if you tell them that you killed someone, they're not by the Lord, they're not allowed to tell. But they can try to be like, hey, you should coach you into doing it. But they're not supposed to tell police of anything that you tell them in a confessional booth. At all.
What the fuck?
Yeah, so I'm hoping Tomei would have done the right thing, but I just want to say they're not supposed to.
Wow.
Yeah, keep that in mind. They're not. Priests live in secrecy. I don't know if you know that. A lot of them like little boys, and priests don't talk a lot. Priests don't talk a lot.
You watch too many movies?
No, I've read too many newspaper articles online. But so there's just something about that. I think he, might have used the earthquake's justification to kill him, but I also think he was kind of ooh, what did I just do?
I could definitely see that.
I could too. But you'll see, he does. Like I said, he does show stuff like that he knows more than what he's doing in his head throughout this. But we'll get more of that. So after his latest murder, Herb, perhaps feeling patriotic, attempted to join the Coast Guard, but he was rejected for failing the psychological evaluation. He then tried to join the Marines, and he actually passed their psychological evaluation.
Jesus.
The old infantry, put him on the front line.
That's what I'm saying. He's either going to literally kill for numbers, or that's true, actually.
He's going to kill our whole people.
Can you imagine he's rushing and then he just turns around?
Shoots our whole front line.
Yeah, seriously. He's either going to kill or get killed. I mean, honestly, he'd be the perfect person to send out.
I've always said, prisoners like that, you should just put them on the front line.
Yeah, they're either going to kill or get killed. So, I mean, there's not really a lose here for anyone. But no, yeah. So can you imagine that though? He somehow passed the Coast Guard, or failed the Coast Guard, but passed the Marines.
Doesn't make much sense.
I think the Marines wanted people like him, honestly.
I think the Marines have always like that though. They've always been the easier one to get in because nobody wants to be like a Marine. It's a lot more dangerous.
Yeah, it's
Coast Guard,
yeah,
it's still dangerous, but you do way different stuff.
Wasn't Papal in the Coast Guard?
He may have got booted out, but
I think he was in the Coast Guard. So if he can make it, then anyone can really make it.
He got booted out.
Well, he also got booted out of his frat in
He
Alabama.
got discharged from.
Yeah, we're not going to talk about that right now. He's a good man. He's a good man. But when they tried to make him sign papers regarding his arrest record, he refused to sign them, saying that he hadn't done anything wrong, and he was swiftly rejected. So, because they were like, yeah, we'll take it. They were happy to take him. They're like, we got to sign this records saying you acknowledge that you've done these crimes, and he was like, yeah, I did them, but I didn't do anything wrong when I was doing them. That was his answer
So he
too.
wouldn't sign it?
Yeah, so he wouldn't sign it. So they're like, well, we can't take you then. So yeah, he's always difficult.
Almost had him.
They almost had him. They really almost did have him. If he'd signed that paper, he'd be. Vietnam was over actually, or was getting over. I don't know.
Either way, he'd been on base somewhere. He wouldn't have been able to kill people who'd been stuck on base.
That's true, and who knows? Things might have been different. Who knows? So after reading Einstein's book, Einstein on Peace, Herb bought his first pistol, claiming that the book said that the average Scandinavian male carried a handgun on them at all times. And since Herb was 1/3 Scandinavian, he believed that he should do the same. Yeah, I'm not
You shouldn't be
kidding.
allowed to read books.
That was his logic. And also he had gotten he also read several books on Da Vinci, and it's thought that like that was where he got the inspiration to do like the shit to Mary Guilfoyle in the woods, like seeing like all like the fucking art shit. Yeah, he really shouldn't be reading books.
No, you shouldn't be allowed.
No, seriously, especially Einstein books. Because Einstein like made him like because he believes he's reincarnated as Einstein, and then he bought a book. He's like, well, I'm 1/3 Scandinavian, so I should have a gun too. So this is Herb's big day. Herb began thinking to himself how the drugs had ruined his life, and he began to crave revenge on the man who had first introduced him to the devil's lettuce, which he believed had sent his life into a downward spiral. In one of his only known cases of premeditation, Mullin set out to kill Jim Gianera. See, it's stuff like this is like driving his voice like in this head. So it's like he premeditated. He's mad at Jim. So this is the second voice communicate actually.
Yeah.
He's mad at Jim, and he's like, "Fuck this guy! It's his fault. This is all like this because he gave me weed the first time, which I did LSD, and the drugs are the problem." But like, it's like the second voice is telling him like that's God is saying like, "Yes, kill him," because he like says that he hears the voices of them telling him to kill them too. So
this
it's
is technically his only first-degree murder. His only
premeditated in a
yeah.
way. Yeah, and you'll see at the end that was one of the charges. So yeah.
Figured he didn't get the death penalty for first-degree murder.
No. I don't think California had it. There's like the time they didn't have it, and they had it again. They didn't have it. I don't know exactly why. So on January 25th, 1973, Herb drove to the cabin where he thought Jim Gianera lived. Unbeknownst to him, though, Jim had moved fairly recently. So when Mullin knocked on the door, he was met by a mother of two, Kathy Francis. Mullin explained that he was an old classmate and teammate of Jim's, and that he was wanting to catch up with them. Kathy, feeling completely unthreatened, gave the man Jim's new address, and he went on his way.
Damn it, Kathy.
Yeah. Hey, don't worry, she doesn't get off easy. Mullin explained that he was an old. Oh, sorry, never mind. Herb arrived at Jim's house, and he knocked on the door and patiently waited for a response. Jim came to the door seconds later and was surprised but happy to see Herb, since it had been a couple of years. It had been 2 years since they'd seen each other last. He left Mullin at the door to attend to something in his house, but when he returned, he found Herb standing in the middle of his living room, staring at him with wide, rage-filled eyes. Herb began to yell at Jim, asking him why he'd given him weed all those years ago, and he demanded an apology for what Jim had done to him. Jim, completely fucking blown away and confused, argued back with Mullin and didn't answer his crazed classmate because he was like, "What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what is wrong with you? I haven't seen you in like years." So, unsatisfied with Gianera's answers, Herb pulled his pistol from underneath his jacket and shot Jim 3 times in various parts of his body. Due to where he was hit, Jim didn't die immediately and managed to crawl up the stairs to try to alert his wife, who was in the shower. Acting like Michael Myers, Herb followed slowly behind, and before Jim could make it to the bathroom, Mullin shot him in the head. He then opened the bathroom door where Jim's wife, 21-year-old Joan, screamed at the sight of him, and Herb quickly shot her 5 times, leaving her body slumped over inside the bathtub. And perhaps because he just hated Jim Gianera that fucking much, he stabbed Jim's lifeless body over 35 times with his hunting knife. Yeah.
Jesus.
That's the rage. That's what I'm saying.
Kill again.
He's a serial killer with like a hyper violent like attitude and like tendency because of the schizophrenia, and he has full bore like religious right to kill this guy. So he severely blames his.
Good.
Yeah. So he believes he has righteous like alienation to kill this guy, and he has the crazy like fucking hyper violent part of like his tendencies, like who he blames this guy for ruining his life. So he's going like, I can do whatever I want to you, and it's fine. And he's hyper angry with this guy. He also stabbed his wife like 5 different times after that too, even though she didn't do anything at all. Yeah. So and I do want to say it doesn't end well because he does leave some evidence. Or no, sorry, he picks up evidence here, but he does leave evidence like at the next place.
You know, why he had that pistol is because he's 1/3 Scandinavian, and he read the book.
Fake Albert Einstein.
Yeah.
I think you could say Herb like he gets lessons from stuff that he shouldn't get lessons from.
So you could say that if he would have never read that book, he may have never used a gun.
He probably wouldn't have gotten, probably not, honestly. It's all these little things that he finds that just end up in the right place, right time for him. He's like, oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I need a
He's
gun.
fucking psycho.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, but
He doesn't read the book.
he thinks they make sense though. Like he believes that they make sense in his head. And yeah, I don't know what to tell you. He's weird, Dave. So Herb then got in his car and drove off, but he began to realize something. He had gotten directions to the house that same day from Kathy Francis, who would put two and two together involving the crime scene and go straight to the police with the encounter. So Herb realized that he had a few loose ends to take care of. It sucks, man.
Yep.
It sucks. It's like, I didn't ask you to come here. Just go
I
away.
mean, he's not wrong.
He's
He
not.
would have told. I mean, obviously, but
He's not wrong, but it sucks, man. So, Mullin then drove back to Kathy's cabin and knocked on her door. Kathy, no doubt shocked at the reappearance of the stranger, asked him what he wanted. Herb asked her if he could come inside, and he just wanted to talk to her. Never. Kathy felt uneasy since her husband was out of town and refused his entry. Mullin responded by breaking the door of the cabin down, where he shot Kathy 4 times, sending her to the floor. And perhaps shocked by the sounds, Kathy's 2 boys, who were 4 and 9 years old, came to investigate. And apparently, no one was safe during Herb's righteous crusade because they were both gunned down by Mullin on sight,
Jesus.
being shot 2 times each.
what?
Yeah.
He just kills anything and everything.
Yeah. Mullin then drug all 3 bodies to the center of the living room and stabbed them all repeatedly before getting in his car and driving off.
This man's fucked up.
He loves to stab after he shoots him.
He loves
after their day. He loves to keep stabbing him.
He loves to stab a lot. Like it's like I've told Keith before. Before I think he came on the episode. Like this is the time where he's seeing red. Like everything is red and his vision is red. He's got tunnel vision. Like when he's in the zone, he just is in a fury.
But when he's done, he feels bad about it.
When he's done, he feels horrible about it. But if you notice, he does stab. So that's his MO.
Mm-hmm.
That's his MO for each body because he stabbed each body. But for Gianera, he stabbed him like he looked like a pincushion by the end of it. But that his MO, police do find it's like, okay, this guy's just stabbing a bunch of people like after he shoots them. And so, however, when the grisly crime scene was discovered days later, it wasn't seen as the work of a serial killer by police. Since Kathy's husband was known as a small-time drug dealer, the police assumed that it was a revenge killing from a different drug dealer. And since not all the bodies had been linked or even found, they rolled with this and still did not see any proof of a serial killer.
Even though all the bodies had like 30 fucking stab.
A lot. I want to point out real quick. Gianera was also a drug dealer.
Lucky.
A small time. No. He's getting really lucky, but like these aren't like drug dealers. These are just guys like that sold to like to their friends. Like they had no like actual huge connections.
But he's just getting lucky.
He's just getting lucky. So the cops were like, "Oh, this is a drug deal gone bad." But I want to say real quick, what the kids 4 and 9 really? Why would the kids get killed for a drug dealer killing? Really, the kids?
And then you say the priest is a robbery gone wrong.
A robbery gone wrong. Yeah. Yeah. The cops are just lazy, Dave.
And they all have a shit ton of stab wounds.
Yeah, he's just getting
Same
lucky.
thing.
He's getting
the police are letting him off.
The police let a lot of people be talking about off pretty easily, Tate. It's ridiculous. They're just going like, oh, this is a drug dealer. It's a lot of paperwork. Because it's funny because like Gianera's body got discovered like 2 days later by 2 guys who were coming to buy weed from him, and then they walk in on that. And then they walk in. Yeah, can you imagine that? But yeah, the police are like, oh, it's just a drug deal gone bad, or a drug deal, revenge killing from a drug dealer. It's ridiculous. So this is the Forrest murder, quad kill. Roughly a month later, Herb was apparently a major fan of the woods. Remember, like that was where he was probably burning his dick at, I would imagine, because he spends a lot of time in the woods. Where there's that fucking forest ranger that like told him to fucking leave and shit. Yeah, he was hiking in Caldwell Redwood State Park when he came across 4 teenage boys hanging out in a cabin-like structure that they had built. Now, perhaps thinking back to the numerous times he'd been kicked out of the park, Herb became enraged with the young teens, who ranged in ages of 15 to 19. Herb told them that he was a park ranger and that they were in a marked-off part of the land. He told them that they were polluting the area and that they couldn't camp there and they had to pack up their stuff and leave immediately. Yeah, because again, like I said, the park ranger told him to leave, and there was I didn't tell you in the last one. There was another time at the park with a different park ranger in that same forest, where like he was stealing, Herb was stealing firewood from like the forest and then loading it into a station wagon. And the forest ranger came up and was like, "Hey, you can't do that." And then Herb argued with him, saying like, "It's here for free. It's the land, man. Like, what? I can take this if I want to." And he argued with like him for like 10 minutes before he was just forced to throw it back into the woods.
And that was the second one?
Yeah, that was like a second forest
The
ranger.
first was
The first one he tried pulling a knife on.
And that was at Lake Tahoe, or...
No. It was not Lake Tahoe. I forget where it was. It was not Lake Tahoe. Was it Lake Tahoe? It might have been Lake Tahoe, actually. Maybe you're right. I don't know. But no, yeah. So I think he's mad about that. He's going like, "Why the fuck can you be here and I couldn't?" Yeah, because he goes to places where he shouldn't go and he steals wood.
It's from the land.
He steals firewood.
It's from the land. It's free.
Yeah. Has you ever seen Pocahontas? So the boys who knew off the bat that this long-haired weirdo was not a fucking park ranger, and they told Herb to beat it, and they were trying to eat, pointing at the rifle they had in the corner to help get the point across. Now, Mullin gave them a warning to leave, and that he'd be back the following day to check, and that's exactly what he did. He walked into the cabin-like structure the following day and yelled at the teens to leave at once, and when they refused, Herb claimed that each of the boys spoke to him telepathically, offering themselves as sacrifice for the cause. Following the orders from the voices in his head, Herb unholstered his pistol and shot each of the teens repeatedly, emptying his clips and reloading as he went along. He stole $20 and their .22 rifle, which he would use for his next and final murder. Yeah, so they said he literally just shot them all, like a bunch, and just kept like reloading his clip and then like shooting them. He did like 3 clips into them, I think.
Jesus.
Yeah, so he stole $20 in their .22 rifle, which is going to use on the last one.
So now, whenever somebody pisses him off, he gets the voices in his head.
It's looking like that,
It's
isn't
like he's
it?
getting mad now. There's like his voice telling him to kill him.
Yeah, it's looking like that, isn't it? It really is. At this point, he's getting, like I said, he's getting looser and looser with his kills. He's getting a lot looser with his like rules and how things work.
Yeah.
And it's called out in the trial several times. So this is his final murder, guys. Mullin's reign of terror would come to an end just a week later, when he got very sloppy and committed a murder in broad daylight in a very populated area. On February 13th, 1973, Herb was driving down a residential street hauling firewood that he'd stolen from the state forest. Yeah, he was. He said he was.
What's on firewood for?
I don't...
Yeah,
seriously.
Does he have like a wood stove, I'm guessing? Or?
No, he's living in an apartment. He doesn't have I don't know what he's doing with the firewood he's stealing. I really don't.
Yeah.
I never thought
This
about that.
He's so worried about it. It's like
He has a station wagon. He said he would like fill it to the brim. Like he'd fill the whole back of his
It's like he just
firewood.
collects wood.
I don't know. I didn't hear about them finding it in his station wagon or like his apartment. But
It's
like,
got to be for something important if he needs it that
I
bad.
really don't know what maybe he's selling it or trying to sell it. I don't know what he's doing with the fire. I honestly didn't think about that at all when I wrote that.
I guess schizophrenic people have that.
Yeah, but he said he was hauling firewood that he stole from the woods when he did this.
I'd
So
like to ask him that.
ask him what he was doing with the firewood.
Why the fuck he wanted all the firewood?
So random. He gets that pissed, they tell him not to take it, and then he always has firewood on him.
He just takes it. Like it sounds like he takes it all the time, but like that was like the one time they caught him doing it. I don't know.
So does he go to this forest, like cut the trees down himself and split the firewood?
Yeah. He just cuts he cuts like smaller logs down, but like they're bigger logs.
And he splits the wood himself and takes
Yeah,
it home.
and he takes it home. Yeah, he just like pulls up like in a fucking
In his
in a
station
clearing
wagon.
in his Chevy station wagon. It was a blue Chevy station wagon, like what Clark Griswold drove in Vacation Club. I think it was blue though.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So he was hauling stolen firewood when he saw 72-year-old Fred Perez tending to his garden in the front yard of his home. Mullin, thinking coldly, passed by Perez and made an immediate U-turn and parked his car. He then grabbed the rifle and stolen from the campsite of his last victims and laid it across the hood of his car. Mullin shot him once in the chest, leaving Perez to die shortly after in his front lawn. So he got so sloppy. He said the voices like got too. I think the voices got too much for him at this point because
Yeah, he said he was just getting aggressive. Like,
he's getting worse and worse and worse.
it's kind of the point where he just started killing.
Yeah, he started killing I'll get to it literally. Now, since Herb had shot a rifle in the middle of the afternoon in a fucking neighborhood, it drew some attention. Perez's neighbor, a woman named, I love this woman's last name, Joanne Stagnaro, came outside to investigate the noise and was able to write down the license plate to Mullin's car as he was driving away. And quickly she called the police. So the saga to the Herb Mullin story, however, is much more anticlimactic than you might think it would be. 10 minutes later, Herb was picked up by police and went quietly. In fact, he didn't say a word to him. Inside his car, they found the rifle sitting in the passenger seat and his .22 pistol in the glove compartment. And strangely enough, he did not attempt to use either of them.
So he just didn't care that he was going to prison? Like he wasn't...
I think he knew he was caught, and I think he thought he could probably talk his way out of it. And I think he was... What I think happened was he was like, I'm caught, yes, but I can explain this. Mm-hmm. I think in his crazed mind, he thought he could explain this.
He wouldn't be in there forever.
Yes.
Did he have a bunch of wood in the station wagon?
Sure. Yeah. Remember, he was hauling wood. Yeah, he just got done. He was still driving away from the crime scene. Yeah, so they got him for the murder and for stolen firewood. That was on the charge list. No.
So this basically was like a drive. That was just like a drive-by shooting.
It was a drive-by if you count it as one, like where he stopped and laid a rifle across his hood, and then shot the guy from like 100 yards away. Or I don't know how far he was. I didn't say how far he was either.
1,000 yards.
Oh, I doubt it.
He didn't give a damn.
No, he didn't give a shit. He didn't give a shit. No. Like I said, he got to the end of the rope.
Yeah.
He got to the end of the rope. In a way, he was never going to be able to do this forever. So, like I said, he went quietly. A quick raid of Mullin's apartment would reveal newspaper articles about the murders, an address booklet that contained the address of Jim Gianera, and a rosary case that belonged to Father Henry Tomei. And after that, Herb was charged with murder. So he kept trophies. He kept evidence. As I said before, while awaiting trial, Herb Mullin and Ed Kemper shared adjoining cells, and needless to say, they fucking hated each other. Herb would scream and loudly sing at the top of his lungs just to piss Kemper off, and Kemper would retaliate by throwing cups of water on Mullin until he stopped.
It's like a comedy show.
Ed Kemper said that he actually kind of trained Herb. He would keep like peanuts in his cell, and then he would give peanuts to Herb like to get him to stop singing. And then Herb he would be like, hey, because he called him Herbie. He'd be like, hey Herbie, you run out of peanuts, and then he'd be like, yeah, do you have some? He's like, yeah, well, you gotta stop singing. And he'd be like, okay, I'll take some, and he'd give him a packet of them.
This fucking dog.
Because Kemper was pretty smart, but he sounds so fucking full of himself, like much smarter than he really is. But Kemper had an IQ of 100. Yeah.
Is he on here?
Fuck yeah, he is. He's right there.
Oh,
Yeah. He's right there.
It's my mom's favorite.
Yeah, it's Mom's favorite. Yeah. Yeah. No, he had an IQ of 134.
Dude, he's a normal guy, really.
He was a genius. He was a genius.
My mom says he's a normal guy. She blamed it all on
Yeah,
his parents.
my mom likes
They're
him.
shitty parents.
My mom feels bad for him. He had a shitty
She
mom.
said he shouldn't have been there.
But yeah, no, she's like, oh, he shouldn't be there. But no, yeah, they hate each other because Kemper was very smart, so he did train Herb. But he's so condescending when he speaks. I hate hearing his voice.
How long were they joining cells together before they got moved?
Months, like 6 months. The main reason Mullin hated Ed is because apparently so Kemper had a cell. I don't know, Keegan. I'm trying to fucking talk. I don't know. Kemper there's a front cell in the jail that Herb was in, and then Kemper got moved to it because it was bigger because Kemper was 6 foot 10. So Herb hated him for that because Herb got moved to the back of the cell, to the back of the cell block, so you can talk to people and shit.
Kemper was 6'10".
Yeah, he's the biggest serial killer. And then Herb also hated Kemper because Herb said the small naturally hate the big. Because Herb was 5'7", and Kemper was a full 1.5 taller than him.
Jesus.
But no, yeah, so they hated each other. Like I said, he would screech sing, and Kemper would
So
spray with
peanuts.
Yeah, and then peanuts or Herb and took Kemper sprayed with water like a cat, like he's a cat. Hate each other. So to say that this is where the trial begins. So to say that Herb Mullin's trial was a freak show from start to finish would be a bit of an understatement. But it was difficult before the trial even began. So since the first 3 victims had been killed in other counties, Herb was only being charged with 10 counts of murder. And determining his sanity was made difficult when specialists heard his stories on giant earthquakes and Jonah from the Bible speaking to him. They wanted to talk to him. Normally, the system would have had two separate trials. So the first to determine the defendant's sanity, and the second for them to stand in actual court if they succeeded. This time, though, Mullin would be doing both trials at once. So, at the scene of many of the crimes, Mullin had left small bits of evidence of himself at the scene. He left a partial palm print during the murder of Henry Tomei, and left all the bullet casings in the cabin of the murdered teenagers, not even bothering to pick them up. The shell casings also matched the 22 that he had in his car, and the stolen rifle that he had in his car was from the teenagers that he'd shot, and it was in the car as well. It's almost as if Mullin could give a rat's ass after about disposing of some evidence or hiding like others as well, because he picked up evidence of Gianera's, but he left the bullets there.
Care about that.
Yeah, he didn't care about evidence sometimes. So when it comes down to Herb's sanity, when it came down to it, it really is all about knowing that what you're doing is wrong when you're doing it. And it actually is possible for Herb to have known what he was doing was wrong, regardless of the voices in his head, because there was evidence of him knowing that he was doing something wrong at the time. So the prosecution put forth several key pieces of evidence to prove his conscious sanity at the time of the murders. The evidence was as follows: sanding down the baseball bat after killing Lawrence White, sand the blood off of it; removing his pistol serial number; picking up his shells from the Gianera murders, and going back to kill Kelly Francis because he was afraid she'd turn him in. So he made clear conscious, because if he hadn't picked up any of the evidence, he hadn't gone out to kill Kathy Francis.
Yeah,
he
just wouldn't give a damn.
Yeah, they might be it might have been more. Well, he might be insane, but he did do things to hide evidence and to take off people that could have told on him. He did have a list in a way.
Which obviously does work because he's still getting denied parole to this day.
Yeah, he still does. Well, he's not even eligible. But I'll get to that here in a second. Trust me. So. I'll get to good gulps. I don't even care.
Good gulps.
I don't even care. So, Herb's trial begins on July 30th, 1937, with him being charged with 8 counts of first-degree murder and 2 counts of second-degree murder, since the slayings of Kathy Francis and Jim Gianera showed heavy signs of premeditation, as I said before. The first day of the trial went to hell, though, when Herb got into an argument with his defense attorney and fired him, opting to represent himself instead.
Like Bundy.
Yeah, but at least Bundy had law training. This is Herb Mullin.
True.
This is Herb Mullin. He's representing himself.
Maybe the voices in his head will help him.
It's like one of them's a lawyer. One of them's a lawyer. So this led to several other courtroom antics about how Herb tried to convince the judge that Jonah had spoken to him, telling him that Whitey had sacrificed himself to the whale to save the rest of the boat. And when the judge clarified to Mullin that the whale had not eaten Jonah, rather he had spit him out, Herb got immediately defensive and told the judge that if he couldn't see how a small disaster could stop a bigger one, that he just wouldn't understand it. He's like, you just don't get it. You just don't get it. So another time, Herb's psychologist brought in a recording of Herb trying to prove how crazy he was, to get him show that he's insane. This recording is called the Die Song. The Die Song is what Mullin called it in his head when his victims would telepathically offer themselves as sacrifice. Again, he referred to these as Die Songs. So it's whenever a victim offered himself as sacrifice, that was the Die Song. I will now read verbatim what Herbert Mullin described as the Die Song. These are Herb's words. You see, the thing is, people get together. Say, in the White House, people like to sing the Die Song. People like to sing the Die Song. If I'm the president of my class when I graduate from high school, I can tell you 2, possibly 3 young male Homo sapiens to die. I can sing that song to them and they'll have to kill themselves or be killed. An automobile accident, a knifing, a gunshot wound. You ask me why earthquakes? Because all the other people in the community have been dying all year long. In my class, we have to chip in to speak to the darkness. We have to die also, and people would rather sing the Die Song than murder. I believe man has believed in reincarnation for maybe, consciously, verbally, 10,000 years. And so they instituted this law. They used They used it back then, 10,000 years ago. Well, let a guy go crazy, you know. He'd go kill crazy, maybe kill 20, 30 people. Then they'd lynch him, you know, or they'd have him kill crazy person to kill him because they don't want him to go because they don't want him to get too powerful in the next life. Sorry guys, it's full of errors. You should see this. It is full of errors. There's a lot of periods where there shouldn't be. There's a lot of like commas where there shouldn't be. I did my best, but that's the Die song.
Seems like the most unreasonable thing I've ever heard.
His psychiatrist brought that in there and played it in open court to try to prove his insanity.
That should prove it right there.
Didn't work. Didn't work. However, not even the Die song had an effect on the jury, who after 14 hours of deliberation found Herb Mullin guilty of all 10 murders on August 19, 1973. He was sentenced to life in prison and would be eligible for parole in 2025. Mullin is currently incarcerated at Mule Creek State Prison at the age of 74. He practices Tai Chi and is skilled in cabinet making and works as a janitor for the cell block. He's even seen as a model prisoner and gets golden stars from his supervisor. Even though he's not eligible for parole for another 3 years, he can still apply for parole, which he has done several times. His most recent attempt in 2017, in which he was denied his freedom. Herb Mullin sits back and awaits a day like when he can leave prison as a free man. This will never happen, though. Herb will stay in prison for the remainder of his life and still confused as to what he did wrong.
Until he's 77, right?
Yep, and it's 74.
Okay, 77, he's eligible for parole.
Yep. And that's Herb Mullin. Yep. He can't. Yeah, he could get out, but they're not going to let him out.
You don't think so?
Now, because they won't be able to trust him to not take his medication. And the second he gets off his medication, I feel like things might go back to the way they were. Yeah.
Sure.
But no, yeah, that's Herbert Mullin. What do you guys think?
Weird. Voices are
Psycho.
Yeah, the voices are weird.
Yeah, the voices are weird. And like I said, like I've talked about before with Richard, I think it was Richard Chase Keith. It's people like him. He's one of the few people that there's a small part of it, very small, that I kind of feel a little bad for because he has these pounding, screaming voices in his head telling him to do these horrible things. Mm-hmm. Kind of like Chase did. Chase had auditory hallucinations too. So I don't feel horrible for him. Lock him up. He needs to stay locked up. But
afterwards, when the voices were there, he felt bad.
And the voices
didn't want to do it.
Yes, like I said, he's on medication now, and he's just a normal fucking guy.
And he was talented, big Golden Gloves guy.
Honestly, if he'd been on medication, do you think they would let him on? Do you think they'd let someone be a professional fighter if they had to take medication for that?
Not for that, no.
That sucks.
You're gonna be a fighter if you had.
I guess it's probably for the best, actually. It's probably for the best.
You could just have flip a switch and know a fight like Lord knows do with someone.
That's true. Yeah. I don't know why I even asked that. There's no fucking way. Jesus Christ. Can you imagine Mike Tyson with schizophrenic tendencies back in his prime?
He basically already is.
He actually might have schizophrenia. He did bite someone's ear off. He did bite Holyfield's ear off. So that's the end of the episode, guys. Next week, Keys and Tate will not be with it. So that's the end of the episode, guys. Next week, Keegs and Tate will not be with us. I'm having a very special guest on here, and I've never met him before, but he likes true crime. He's really excited to be on. So
I'm excited for you and for him.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. He's really fucking excited. Apparently,
I love
he's really
it.
excited. Yeah, I can't wait. It's gonna be awesome. So
a good one for him.
It is a good one. You know, it's because of how old he is and a few other things. I can't have any death or any kills or anything. So we're just doing a high strangeness, fun episode next week. Kind of like Mel's Hole. So yeah, that's what we're doing. Yep.
I love it.
Yep. All right, guys. So that's the end of the episode. Follow the socials. The Skeleton Key Podcast, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We post TikToks weekly. We're getting ready to start posting full video clips of our recordings on YouTube. So as we get that ready. Website's coming up too. Should be up this Friday.
Yep.
I think. Yep. I'll let you guys know what happens there. And we got some. We do have the templates for the hoodies coming in, so we're gonna have those and see how those do. And that's all we got. So sweet guys. Till next time, keep it safe, keep it real, and stay classy. Right on. See you guys.